Hi y'all, Sat Sri Akal. This is Taq from BIPOC Executive Search getting at you today for the Wellness and Work podcast. A podcast where I share stories and tips to keep you healthy, happy, and motivated for your day job. So today's topic is 4 tips to get fit and healthy while working 9 to 5. And I'm currently recording this in the springtime. It's the time when, other than January 1st, everyone is probably thinking about getting in shape for the summer, looking good, feeling good, and just feeling more confident in our own bodies, and really approaching fitness and health from the perspective of, being in excellence in all areas of our life, including our work, including our health, including our life's purpose and passion, and our relationships with the people around us and the relationships with ourselves. And for me, in my own fitness and health journey, I find that when I am motivated, when I'm working out, when I'm taking care of my body and feeding it nourishing foods, I not only feel great about myself, but I find that I can show up to work with more energy. I'm more excited about the day because I've already served myself and done something for myself. I tend to work out in the mornings, and then I can go and serve my clients, support my team members, and be able to, take care of the people around me. So I always like to start with a story from my own life. And the story that I'll share is what it was like to get back into health and fitness during the COVID-19 pandemic, when we were all, for the most part, had stay-at-home orders. We were all working from home. I still am. And it was just a totally different time. So prior to the pandemic, I was actually living in Vancouver, BC, on Coast Salish territories, which is my hometown. And I'd been there for about 5 years while I was doing my PhD. And every day it felt like I was running around. So I would walk a bajillion steps. I was taking the bus to campus at UBC. I was very, very active, and sometimes would go to, a hot yoga class with my friends, go for hikes. So my life was pretty different from when the pandemic started. At that point, during the pandemic, I moved to Halifax, Nova Scotia, on the other side of the country for a change, to take up a new teaching job, and the environment was very different. I was working from home, obviously, as we all were, and staying at home, feeling a little bit demotivated and depressed just with everything that was going on. And I had left pretty much all of my friends and family behind, basically knew no one here. So it was a bit of a hard transition. And so I wasn't as excited or into movement as I had been, because previously it had just been integrated as part of my day, my way of getting around, of transporting myself, of seeing my friends. And now things were so different, where we were at home all the time. So the first few months, not much going on, a lot of, eating skip the dishes meals and sitting on my couch. And eventually I just got to the point of being sort of sick and tired of being sick and tired, as the saying goes. And I decided to take my own health and wellness into my own hands. I'm a very self-motivated person. I love setting goals. So I decided that I was going to, get in the best shape of my life and just be in excellence, and really love on my body. This was in the middle of winter in Halifax on Mi'kmaq Treaty Territories, where it is a very, very, very cold. Even with the heat on, I am just a cold person, and it was very hard to get motivated to get up in the mornings in the dark and leave my house at all. So for me, going to the gym, doing any outdoor workouts was off the table in terms of longevity and sustainability, but also because COVID was going on. So what I decided to do was take up Pilates, which is a practice that you can do at home. All you need is a yoga mat. And I started with 5-minute videos. So I convinced myself if I could do it for 5 minutes, that was enough. And that's all I needed to do. And y'all, I was doing it in my pajamas with a fuzzy robe on. So picture me on my mat with a giant fuzzy robe in my PJs doing 5-minute Pilates videos. And that's how I started my journey. So I started with those 5 minutes and built myself up to where I am now, which is doing, 45 minutes to an hour of strength training, resistance training, lifting heavy weights a week. I go for walks every day after work because it's warmer season and I can go out when it's not dark with my dog, and also doing cardio once a week. And it's just been amazing. But I started small and worked my way up. So I'm going to share those 4 tips to get fit, healthy, and happy based on working a 9-to-5 job. So my first tip, based on the story that I just told, is to start small. So start with 5 minutes a day. If you even want to start with 3 minutes a day, that's all I recommend starting with if you're currently at 0. So starting at 5 minutes a day, it just helps you build the habit and also get the wins. So our bodies, minds, spirits like to do things that we know we're going to win at and that we'll actually be able to accomplish. So 5 minutes is definitely doable. You can choose a video online that suits you. On my own business website, imwithperiods.com, I have a women of color led workout challenge, and there's a bunch of videos on there that'll link you to amazing instructors who all have short 5-minute videos that you can do as well, even 3-minute videos. So starting small allows you to build that habit, get the small wins, and then you can work your way up from there. Number 2 is to lift weights and resistance train. Oftentimes when we think about getting in shape, we think about, slashing our calories, barely feeding ourselves, and then doing endless amounts of cardio on a treadmill. And all this tends to do is actually just hurt our metabolism, hurt our bodies. We end up being in a poor mood because we're always hungry. So I actually recommend not even doing anything in terms of calorie cutting or doing diets or anything like that, and instead focus on doing something that's going to make you stronger. So resistance training can take the form of body weight exercises like push-ups on your knees. You can do squats with your body weight. Just look up basic resistance exercises. The main ones are chest press, squat, deadlift. Those are sort of like the 3 main weightlifting ones that people like to do, but there's so many more ways that you can incorporate body weight resistance training into your life. And this is going to help us build muscle, and muscle is an active tissue. So it actually helps us in our immune response. So it helps keep us healthy. It helps burn calories throughout the day. So it helps us and allows us to actually eat more and burn those calories off because our muscles need them to survive. And we can prevent some of the negative effects of aging with muscle. So often we think about people, getting frail and falling, and muscle and building muscle helps prevent that. So highly recommend lifting weights and resistance training as your main form of activity that you're trying out if this is something new to you. The third thing is to know your hunger schedule and plan healthy meals accordingly. For instance, for me in the mornings, I'm not super hungry, so I'll often work out, do my morning routine and all of that. And then once my hunger starts to kick in, then I'll have my first meal, and I never aim to skip meals. So always make sure you have, your 3 meals of the day, however you structure them. Once we start skipping meals, it gets a little bit into disordered eating patterns where we're not eating enough to feed and fuel our bodies. So know your hunger schedule. I also get really hungry at nighttime after work, and I just know that about myself, and I'm okay with it, and I accept it, and I make sure that I have healthy snacks and healthy meals later in the evening for myself, rather than resorting to just, eating all the unhealthy things because there's nothing else or I haven't planned for it. So just knowing your hunger schedule, planning healthy meals accordingly is going to help you, eliminate any guilt that you have around getting hungry at particular times of day, and just honor and respect your body. Everyone's body and hunger cues are different. So honoring that, respecting it is just going to help you develop a great body image, as well as help you on your journey to get fit and healthy. And the fourth thing, again, these are my perspectives. These are things that work for me. So if this doesn't work for you, by all means, continue on with whatever you've been doing. But I actually recommend to stop dieting and stop following meal plans. For me, for instance, in the past, I don't do this anymore, but in the past, I would have come across this healthy meal plan for 7 days, and I would print it out and I'd get all the groceries, and I would start, and day 1 would be fine, day 2 would be fine, and then day 3 I would start to rebel. I don't really like people telling me what to do and what to eat. It kind of messes me up in my head. I start to just obsess about food or resist against it or totally go off the rails. So for me, I just stopped doing that. Stopped printing off meal plans. I don't even use recipes anymore. I just make what I like. I fall within the parameters of relatively healthy eating, of whole foods, of eating in season, eating meat that's been raised in an ethical, responsible way, and eating things that makes my body feel good. But really that focus on whole foods, of foods that, we can tell that they have come from the earth, and to stop dieting. So going back to my point about lifting weights and resistance training, you actually have to be in a calorie surplus in order to build muscle. So you need to have more calories than you're burning off in order to build muscle. So dieting prevents that from happening. Dieting prevents you from building muscle. It is possible to build muscle and, say, lose fat at the same time if that's your goal and intention. There's a term called body recomposition that you all can look up and do some research on. It definitely takes longer and more, practice and to be totally dialed into your nutrition and all of that. So for me, it just makes sense to eat intuitively, focus on my hunger cues, eat whole foods and things that are healthy and good for me. I still eat all the things. There's nothing that I don't eat. So I'll treat myself now and then. But essentially, I recommend just eating according to things that you like, so that you are excited and happy about eating healthy, as opposed to having this meal plan of things that are, maybe not something that you typically cook or eat, and therefore just totally ignoring it and going off the rails. So those are my 4 tips. Just to recap, the first one is to start small with 5 minutes a day of exercise or working out, or even just going for a walk and stretching, so that you can build up that habit, get the small wins, and then grow from there. The second one is to lift weights and resistance train, so that you can build muscle and get strong, and have that be our focus, as opposed to, being obsessive about our weight and our size and these expectations of the ideal body that society tends to place on us. 3 is to know your hunger schedule and plan healthy meals accordingly. And I'll also say, since this is, how to get fit and healthy while working your 9 to 5, to make sure you're planning your breakfast, lunch, and dinner breaks accordingly within your schedule. So make sure you're taking your lunch break when you do get hungry, as opposed to taking it earlier not really feeling like eating and then skipping that meal. Making sure that we're planning our breaks within our day accordingly. And then the fourth one is to stop dieting and stop following meal plans if they don't work for you, or if they, set you off in terms of being triggered or make you feel all kinds of ways in your head about food. Just focus on the foods that are, you really like, that are healthy and whole foods. That way you'll actually stick to eating in a good way that's nourishing your body, giving your body all the nutrients it needs, and just loving on it. So wishing you all the best. As I mentioned, getting fit and healthy is not just something separate from our work life. It actually enhances our work life, gives us more energy, makes us more productive. For me, as I mentioned, working out in the morning is part of my morning routine, my self-care routine. So I get to love on myself and my body first, and then I get to go out and serve others. Hope y'all enjoyed. Sending you so much love and talk soon. Bye.